This is the Canon 3000N 35mm SLR film camera that was produced or introduced in the era when everything was silver. Do you remember that? You could go into an electrical store anywhere and try and buy a black TV. Everything was silver. VCRs, DVD players, TVs, hi-fis, kettles, fridges, you name it, everything was silver. And it was also this kind of cheap, plasticky looking silver as well. It all looks a bit nasty and cheap, as does this camera. And I must admit, this isn't a particular camera that I would want to go out and buy. I was luckily sent this by Andy Brennan, and he wanted me to give it a go and see what I thought of it. And when you're looking for film cameras, you want a camera that's comfortable in the hands and also a camera that's easy for you to use, meaning the control. Sometimes some cameras can get really confusing with all the menu systems, the focus systems, etc. All you want is just something to take pictures with and a little bit of control as well for you to be a bit creative in your photography. And we all know that with film cameras, it's only as good as the glass in front of it and also the film that you put inside it. And when this camera was introduced in 1999, I think it was, they came out with the EOS 3000, and in 2002 they came out with the 3000N. I haven't really read up much between the differences. I'm just looking at this particular camera. And when they introduced this, they was aiming for the hobby photographer, the person that wanted to get into photography, or maybe a Christmas present for your son or your daughter or whoever wants to get into photography. And it came in a box with a strap, came with a kit lens that I've got here, and also the body itself and a manual. Do you remember them manuals? Nowadays you can't get nothing without going online and trying to read up what it does. They don't give manuals anymore. Saving the world, saving the trees and all that stuff. And unlike the mid-range and professional cameras of the day, this camera had very few functions, just not to confuse the hell out of you. And the bonus with this camera is it's a Canon EOS, which takes EF lenses, and I've got a few nice Canon EF lenses that I use for all my digital work, which means for the first time I can shoot this camera, or I can shoot film using my 70-200 lens, which I absolutely love, and also the 24-105 lens that's recording me at the moment on a Canon 6D. I've also got another Canon 6D here that we're going to go out and shoot in a bit and put these two side by side. I'm not really one for the film versus digital competition. We all know the differences and the benefits of shooting digital and also the fun of shooting film. But because this camera takes these EF lenses, I thought it would be great to put my lenses on this camera and go out and shoot and see what I get. But also at the same time, I just thought inquisitively, what would happen if I also took my digital body with me, the Canon 6D, I took pictures with that side by side with this. Would I notice any difference? So I thought I'd put this video out for you guys to see if you will as well. And if we look at the functions of the camera, I'll have to put my bins on so I can see what I'm looking at. It's pretty basic. You've got the traditional little tiny jog wheel here with all your auto functions on, you know, your portrait, your landscape, your sport mode and all that stuff. I've actually never used them. But you've also got manual control, which is fantastic if you want to get a bit creative and start learning photography. You've also got aperture priority, shutter priority, program mode. I've never really used that, and I don't really know what program mode does, to be honest with you. I don't want to know what it does either. The main ones I ever use is aperture priority and a manual. But also on the jog wheel you've got an ADEP, which I think that's something to do with depth of field. It does something with the aperture as you're shooting. I don't know, maybe shutter priority or something. You've also got your ISO selector and your rewind film button as well. You've got your shutter speeds, which go from bulb to 30 seconds and then all the way to 1/2000th of a second. So there's a massive range of shutter speeds for any hobbyist or anyone getting into photography to try and get creative with the shutter speeds. And also the ISO values go to 6400, so you've got a nice wide range of your ISO metering inside the camera for whichever film, if you're pushing, pulling or whatever. So that's pretty handy as well. The only thing is it's very slow. I've noticed when you click the shutter. So it's not a quick firing camera. If you want to do any sport stuff and keep up with the action, I'll keep my finger on it, there you go. It's not a very quick firing camera, but who needs quick firing cameras when you're taking pictures of trees up on the downs? And you've also got a nice digital display. There's not too many functions on the digital display, but it's enough for any learning person that wants to go out and learn photography, especially film photography, not to get too overweighted with technology and get confused. The function buttons, I've got 3 autofocus points. It's an autofocus camera as well, guys, so my lenses are autofocused with this camera, which is great. So it's got 3 autofocus points, and the functions is a red eye reducer. You've got an audio, you can turn the beeping off, on and off basically. You've also got bracketing as well. You can do bracketing with this camera, and it's also got a little feature where I can choose multiple exposures. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 9. So I can do 9 multiple exposures on that one particular frame of film, and it won't advance. It will just keep shooting on top of that one frame, which is pretty handy if you want to get creative. That surprised me that was on this camera. On the back of the camera, you've got your auto exposure lock, and you've got this little frosty button. I don't really know what the frosty button does, to be honest with you. I don't care. It's not going to change any of my photography at all. You've got a little tiny pop-up flash. Look at that. And you've got a self timer as well, and that's about it. But one of the features of this camera that really threw me was when I first loaded it with film, it automatically advances the whole film onto the take-up spool, ready if you take your shot. So it kind of works back to front, so when you take your first shot, it loads it back into the canister. I couldn't figure that out. At first, I thought to myself, blimey, this is, the whole film's just, the camera's buggered. The whole film's just rewound itself off. So I went in the dark bag and pulled it all out and put it back in. And then I went online and read the manual. It's actually a safety feature. So if you're out shooting and then you accidentally pop the back open, your exposed frames are already sitting safe inside the canister. I thought that was a pretty good idea. I've never seen that before, so that surprised me. Also comes with this little tiny kit lens here, these little lenses. This is a 28 to 80mm kit lens. Nothing fancy, very plastic, very light. And I'm also going to put this kit lens on the DSLR. So I'm going to shoot with the film camera and the DSLR with this kit lens and with those 2 other lenses, the 70 to 200 and that 24 to 105 that's filming me at the moment. So I'll get on with it, guys. I'll show you where I was. I'll show you some of the scenes that I was taking pictures of, and I'll show you the comparisons between the film and the DSLR. I scanned the film, so you guys can see on the screen now. Let me know what you think is DSLR. Let us know which one you think is film. So I'll just set the camera into aperture priority mode. I choose the aperture. I need to make sure that the ISO is set to 100, which it is. I've got Ilford Delta 100 film in this camera, so I've set it to 100, and I've also set the DSLR to 100 ISO as well. Aperture priority mode, let's choose F11. One shot done, and I'm going to do another one at 50, just zoom in a bit more, and one more all the way, but I'm going to go portrait. So this is 80mm portrait. Now put this lens on the digital camera. There we go, the lens is now on the digital camera. I'll do exactly the same again. 100 ISO, aperture priority, F11, one shot. I've also set it to monochrome so I can see on the back what it's giving me in black and white. So it's all set to monochrome, but I am capturing a raw from the digital as well, just like we always would. So now I'll do it on 50, and I'll do the same again, 80 portrait mode. That was giving me 3/20th of a second. So that's 6 shots, 3 on the film and 3 on the digital. Let's compare them. Can you guys guess which one's which? So let's now try and put the L series lens on the 28 to 105. We'll have a go at that. So F11 again, we'll do another one wide. This is exactly the same. It's giving me exactly the same exposures, 1/80th of a second. this is my second composition. I'll just show you. I intend to come, there's the tree again. I intend to come down here so we can get that horizon kind of in the middle. At the top we've got blue sky, at the bottom we've got this grass. So I'm going to do the same again. This time I'm going to leave the kit lens out of it, the 3000N kit lens. I'm going to leave that out of it. I'm just going to use the 28 to 105 and the 70 to 200, doing the same thing again, just comparison. But this time only take one picture on each lens. Ah, it's really prickly around here on my shorts, it's not good. So we'll get nice and low on that. So I've got the 28 to 105, 24, sorry, 28, I keep saying 28, 24 to 105, too wide. The tree looks really lost at too wide, but we'll take it anyway at wide. Focus on that tree, come down, shot done. This time I'll zoom into 105 and we'll take the shot. I'll put this on the digital camera again. Nice and wide again. And now we zoom all the way in, come down a bit more. Then we stick this beast on top of this little camera. Honestly, it feels like it's going to pull the mount out of the camera. It's so heavy. Let's put that shade on. As wide as it can go. This is 70mm now. This time I'm just going to go portrait on it. Do the same again with the digital. This one's giving me 2/50th of a second at 70mm. And now 135 like before. Done. Oh, shit on it. There's two cows having me a face off, look. My car's over there. There's one, oh man. Look, they're either side of my car. That's not mine, unfortunately. He's giving it, oh, he's looking at me. Why'd they do a stare off with you? Like they're going to charge at any minute. I'll go this way. I wanted to go down now. I ain't going near them cows. I'll go back to my car in a bit. What? You see? It looks terrifying. Oh, he's walking slowly. You know you're in trouble when they're just slowly creeping up on you. Here he comes. I'll go over here, safer over here. Oh man, this one over there, look, he's right next to my car. Got to keep me on that one in case he bolt. Oh, this one's come. What's he doing? He's next to my car. He's looking in my car. Oh shit, he's running. Yeah, you better run, mate. You better run. God. I told him what, so. Right, after that terrifying experience, I can get a shot of the barbed wire now. I just don't trust cows, guys, honestly. They're massive. You know, they've got big hoofs and everything, massive teeth. What? No, I ain't arguing with a cow. If I can walk away from it, I will. Right, get a shot of these fences. I like these sort of fences. Film camera again, F11. Nice and wide. I took that shot, F11. And we'll do the same again on digital. And of course the beauty with digital is when I get back, it's so easy. Just put the card in the computer, choose which ones you want, do a bit of editing in Photoshop, and if you print, there it comes. With film, it's a bit more, there's a bit more work involved, but to be honest with you, I'd get bored. I do this all the time, putting cards in computers and going into Photoshop. So on my days off, I like to shoot film. That way it gets me off a computer, it gets me doing things with my hands, and also getting the opportunity to go in the dark and make prints. So that was the results between the DSLR and this little tiny film camera. And bearing in mind, you can pick these things up for, I don't know, for 40, 50, maybe 60 quid with the kit lens. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I've never thought before about picking one of these up. I did get a Minolta Dynax, I think it was, about a year ago, which was a gift to my friend, and I made a video on that. If you want to see that video, I'll put the link in the description. But these little plastic cameras, I'd never thought of getting one before, and I wasn't surprised that the results were similar. We all know that film and 35mm, digital and 35mm film are going to be pretty much close, unless you're going to buy one of these brand new cameras with 50, 60, 70 megapixel sensors. That's only got 20.2. But it's a good workhorse for digital work. I actually like it. Will I use it again? Of course I will. It works and it's fun, and it's also light as well. And I've got those lenses that I can put on it. The kit lens is okay. Didn't really see much difference between that and the 24 to 105 L series lens that you can see there. But I'm shooting black and white, so you won't really see much difference. I can't even get the thing on. But it does feel light, it does feel plasticky, you know. I should imagine if I drop this on the pavement, there's going to be a crack somewhere. Whereas these things just bounce off the pavement and go on forever. But I think it's a fantastic little camera. So have a look out for these guys, and the Canon 3000N, or in particular anything around that sort of era, the Nikons or the Canons. They look silver, cheap and plastic. But I'll tell you what, there's enough in there to get you started shooting film. And even if you are into film and you love shooting film, grab yourself one of these, because I don't think it will let you down. So that's a nice sweet print that I've made of the tree there in the dark room, and nothing wrong with that print at all. It's come out really nice. In fact, if I took that SD card to my mate and said, could you print that for me, I reckon the two of them would be the same. I'm not sure about blowing up even bigger. I reckon maybe digital might win over that one if I was to blow them up at sort of 20 inches or 24 inches. But you know, 10 by 8s and stuff, no problem at all. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks a lot to Andy Brennan for sending me this little beauty. I'm going to keep this in my collection and have fun with it again at some point in the future. I'll catch you next time. It's like a solder in here now. It's summer out there. Hello.